Hey everyone, welcome to another Q&A. We have Murray here. Murray felt really encouraged and kind of challenged, honestly, about the sermon yesterday. For those maybe who didn't get a chance to hear it, why don't you remind our listeners about your sermon?
Yeah, we talked about, we covered chapters 43, 44, and 45 in Genesis, but really honed in on chapter 45, which is the story of the reconciliation of Joseph and his brothers. And the point of the story that we made yesterday, that we drew out from the text, is that since his primary work is to seek the flourishing of his people, then that means that our primary work is likewise to seek the flourishing of other people as well. So we drew some applications from that.
What, maybe for those who are like, well, how am I defining flourishing?
Yeah, okay.
How would you maybe define that?
Well, like we were saying earlier, we could probably spend a whole sermon series talking about what flourishing is. But I think in terms of the Old Testament language of shalom or peace, and by peace, the Bible talks about peace in terms of like a holistic well-being. So we seek the holistic well-being, peace with man, peace with God. That's what we really have in mind when we talk about the biblical concept of flourishing.
Yeah, and what else kind of challenged with yesterday listening was the fear is always kind of there, right, of the cost. Mm-hmm. And I got to thinking, like, how might you encourage someone who is faced with that fear of the cost of maybe helping others flourish, but can maybe be encouraged in a way to really face that and move forward?
Well, I think anytime that we start to count the cost of what it means for us to seek the flourishing of others, we need to reflect on what it cost Christ to seek our flourishing. That's the only infinite and eternal motivation and enablement for us to do what we're called to do anyways. So as we reflect more and more on what Christ did for us, the lengths that he went to seek our flourishing, the cost that he bore on himself, then that enables us to consider whatever small cost in relation to the cost that he bore in order to seek the flourishing of others.
It kind of reminded me of 2 Corinthians 6:10 and the very last part of that where he says, where Paul is encouraging Christians who are dealing with trials and suffering, and that we might possess nothing yet have everything. Uh-huh. And in Christ we are flourishing because we are in Christ. Mm-hmm. And for us to remember that's our identity, and regardless of cost, much like Christ bore that cost, mm-hmm. We already have everything in him. Yeah. And so we thank you for your word, and that encouragement and just the challenge for us to go out and help others flourish and be a blessing. And so thank you. As always, we would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about a sermon you heard or just a topic in general that you're interested in, we would love to discuss it here on this podcast. Until next time, we'll see you later.